Welcome back to another edition of From the Desk. I am your accountant, Samira Moyedin. A crisis of journalism for the common man. Let's get into it. Yesterday, Israel finally came clean and confessed that it will be fully occupying the whole of Gaza and ethnically cleansing the north of the Strip. So this morning, CBC's Metro Morning host David Common invited Canada's former ambassador to Israel, John Allen, to speak to this. At one point during the interview, John Allen began to talk about the humanitarian crisis that is unfolding in Gaza as a result of Israel's starvation policy and no aid at all being allowed to come in to the Strip for the past 70 days. And this is how the host of Metro Morning, David Common, followed up when Allen made that comment. Have a listen.
You talk a bit about the humanitarian situation inside Gaza, John, and it's hard to know because there are so few independent voices that exist within Gaza, and so hard to get that message out.
You talked a bit about the situation inside Gaza, John, but it's hard to know because there are so few independent voices that exist within Gaza. Independent voices. What do you think Davy Boy meant by independent? Non-Palestinian? Trustworthy? Western? What does independent mean to the common man? To David Common, who time and again lives up to his last name. My last name means revivifier of religion, but I'm not starting cult. So what sort of message was David Common sending with that preamble? We have all seen a cacophony of coverage of Israel's starvation policy. Here's the NBC, here is the United Nations, or maybe here, Deutsche Welle, and so on. Is common man not even reading his own media outlets' news and coverage of Israel's starvation policy in Gaza? The point of the common man's comment was to further dispense doubt, you see, and to further dehumanize Palestinian journalists. If it wasn't, he would have said something like, Israel isn't allowing foreign journalists into Gaza. Plain, simple. After all, that's how we're taught to write for radio. Plain and simple. But he didn't say that. And a similar sentiment was extolled and uttered by Christian Amanpour on April 11th, 2024, on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. Have a listen to this.
Journalists are not on the ground in Gaza. And it is...
Well, they're journalists on the ground. They're being killed.
You're right.
Yes.
You're right. I'm talking about independent Western journalists.
Independent and Western. Now, to Amanpour's credit, she did correct herself after Jon Stewart corrected her. But what is so heartbreaking about this particular incident is that Palestinian journalist Hossam Shabat responded to what Amanpour said on his Twitter page right after it happened. He wrote, "The biggest problem is not Western journalists being unable to enter, but the fact that Western media doesn't respect and value Palestinian journalists. My colleagues and I risk our lives every day to report on this genocide. No one knows Gaza like we do, and no one understands the complexity of the situation like we do. If you care about what's happening in Gaza, you should amplify Palestinian voices. We don't need Western journalists to tell our stories. We are capable of telling and reporting on our own stories." I'm warning, the next image is disturbing. Hossam Shabat, you'll recall, was targeted and killed by Israel on March 24th, 2025. You see, this is exactly the problem with the journalism that we see and hear on Israel-Palestine. There is a reason why Israel gets to kill more than 200 Palestinian journalists with such vile impunity. And that's because First and foremost, we don't see Palestinians as journalists, as colleagues, as credible. And Israel knows that. Israel banks on that. So while Israel kills Palestinian journalists in Gaza, the common man kills them right here on air. Let this be a lesson, kids. Never be like common people. We don't want to live like common people do. Be complex. Be contextual. We will continue to bring you the complicity, the complacency of the cowards, the compradors, and the careerists as this genocide continues. This is the hill that we are willing to die on. And may the bridges we burn light the way. Stay tuned.